Turning the vision into a mission. This is a global mission of peace with the GoldFish report on November 4th, 2015. I am Radagast, and I am here with Louisa, our media outreach.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Sanjay, the wonder from down under.
G'day.
Our special guest, Martin Hode.
Hello, pleased to meet you all.
And of course, the voice of the dragon, the ambassador. Welcome, ambassador.
Good day, and welcome everyone. Okay, this is the continuing of spiritual, spiritual leaders coming on to the program to talk about their opinions and about their religion, about their work and their missions. And we had Dr. Manning's on Monday, which was very appreciated by a lot of people. And today we have our dear friend Martin, who basically we start talking, me and him, long time ago, and suddenly he starts studying the Kabbalah, and then he came into enlightenment, and now he's a Kabbalist. Yeah. And so what I wanted to do is actually him to explain for people why he became a Kabbalist, and what is Kabbalah. Okay, so if you could please explain for us, Martin.
Yes, absolutely. Well, basically, if you look at the word Kabbalah itself, it's Hebrew, meaning to receive. And so your next question would be to receive what? Now, it means to receive the sacred knowledge of creation. Basically, every human being has an individual projected reality, but there is one source that projects that reality, the source within. And that's basically where Kabbalah takes you to. It takes you to reach the source and then become an actual vessel for the source. So in some senses, well, in every sense, you actually become abducted by this force. And my particular mission, my special mission, is to bring this knowledge, very much like the book of Zohar back in its day, but to bring it to the average man, so the average man and woman, of course, the average person can understand it. Now, my own personal journey, as you've said, I met you earlier and was very interested in the things at that time that lay beyond what seemed normal. But I'd only just begun my spiritual journey. And at that time, when everybody else was moaning about the Kabbalah and complaining about the elite doing this, elite doing that, and everything that's wrong with the world, I was asking different questions. I was looking to say, okay, look at the power structures. Everyone, the people who own oil, who own the banks, who own everything, the entertainment industry, all of them, Jewish or Israelis, and I thought, what is the common thing? Why? Not to, be upset about what other people have, but why? It's always this question, why? And then I discovered that it really did boil down to Kabbalah, that many of the people in the highest positions of power were Kabbalists. And particularly in the secret societies, the focus is on Hermetic Kabbalah. I personally took the route of Lurianic Kabbalah, which is considered the pure Kabbalah, and it's not like I chose it. I guess I would say that it chose me, because I began out as an audio narrator, and I got offered the chance to do 2 audio books, from the Kabbalah Center in New York, and one was Secrets of the Eternal Book, and the other one is just Kabbalah for Beginners. And to be honest, it was the Secrets of the Eternal Book that opened up my own realms of consciousness within, really. So Kabbalah is not a belief system. It's not some kind of magic or esoteric weird stuff. It literally is a template or a guide or a walkthrough to finding yourself. So it's actually you that make the rules. It's not a belief system. And in fact, it's very, very important for the progression of consciousness and the soul to not get stuck in any belief system. You look at something, work out what that means, where they're coming from. Okay, I get it. And then you move on. And you move on and you move on. And the most Kabbalah books are written with such wisdom that it's almost talking to you with a current commentary of what's happening to it. in that way it can be a little eerie, but it takes you to incredible places and incredible realms of consciousness and the highest of dimensions, and ultimately post-ascension and then descension back again. Then you can understand things like Martin Heidegger's concept with, what was the word he called it? I don't know if any of you know Martin Heidegger. He had a name called Dasein, which was a kind of state of consciousness that he was talking about, and it was the post-ascension one. And then you have Edgar Allan Poe's Gold Bug, you have James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake, and you have the Voynich manuscript. Now, all of these things are written in individual 13th dimensional language. But I'll stop talking about that level and come back down to earth now. Because that's later. That's for when, you know, people find out what they need to find out. But the purpose basically of Kabbalah is just to find out who you are, and of course be concerned about the world around you. But one of the oldest expressions in the world is that you cannot love anybody else until you love yourself, and that is so unbelievably prophetically true, because the state of your own consciousness genuinely affects what you manifest as your reality.
Now, Martin, let me just ask you a question right there.
Yeah.
The Kabbalah of the Golden Dawn, what is that? Is that a certain level that you achieve?
Yeah, because I represent like the ordinary man. I'll tell you, I've read less than 10 books in my life. I have no formal education. And I have no history of spirituality or religion. So I really do represent a very fast route to pre-awakening, I guess you would call it. So I don't have full knowledge of everything, but I have the ability to decode, decipher, and interpret everything. So if I went away and studied it now, I could come back with a full report for you. But from what I get from the little that I've looked at it, it's based on Hermetic Kabbalah, which is just another version of Kabbalah. So,
well, when you say to find yourself, I mean, Kabbalah does refer to, I mean, there's lots of really great, there's color scales that explains like a structure tree, and then you have, it describes the astrology of the different parts of the body and things of that nature. Could you go into a little detail about that, or explanation?
Yes, I mean, if people can take it, I mean, the way it's going at the moment with the awakenings, there's a reason for the awakenings, it's obvious. And things are coming from within for everybody. So with respect with Kabbalah, it leads you to opening portals of your own consciousness. And this, in turn, slowly, all the high-pitched ringing that people have been getting in their ears and the, you know, and the downloads and the upgrades, it's slow release of your brain decoding your junk DNA. So basically, the 90% contents of your junk DNA contain your entire history, the entire history of the source and creation. And finding yourself releases a little bit at a time. And it's kind of knowledge released to you on a need-to-know basis by the creator itself, the actual force. So it's a lot to do with allegory. Everything ultimately is projected allegory.
So what you're saying is that this junk DNA is very consistent with what Simon Parkes has said, that it's not an ascension where something's going up, it's where our energetic DNA is actually reconnecting. And yes, is that what you're saying, that this is...
Yes, we literally, really, and genuinely are returning to one, which means one consciousness. Now, every single human being, every single thing in creation, not just human being, but everything that's ever been created from the first sound wave on, then it's all connected. It's all the same consciousness. So evolution is creation. It's the evolution of creative consciousness. So that's basically what's happening.
So do you use your pineal gland, the third eye? Is there a way to, you know, for our viewers who don't really understand this, is there a way to help, you know, what can you suggest about opening up that third eye and trying to get...
Again, even if, you know, because lots of New Age can be misleading, but there's many areas that all have truth. They do not lie. And as long as you carry information from the heart, then, you know, you're not lying to anybody. But even the pineal gland is a natural projection of consciousness. Your entire biological structure is actually on the outside of when your consciousness is on the inside. So even your body, even the parts of your body. I'm sorry, I've got myself lost. Where am I going back to? Sorry.
Well, how can Kabbalah, how can you incorporate the Kabbalah into other kind of this is mysticism. Kabbalah is mysticism, isn't it?
Well, right. Mysticism is a word that's used by anybody who doesn't understand the dimension of which it comes from. It's a common word for it. I don't quite understand that, so therefore it must be mystic. But as you work on yourself, it all actually comes, it's all about you, really, just you. This is why the ambassador put so much stress on look in the mirror for so long, because genuinely, you can read everything under the sun and learn everything. But if you don't become you, all of it means nothing. So, yes, this knowledge helps, certainly in evolution and what can be created from it. But on a simple personal level, the truth is so simple, it defies belief that the world is run on unconditional love. And you need to connect with who you are. So if you look at the genie, if you imagine yourself, this is the best advice I can give to anybody. Imagine yourself as a 10-year-old child with no barriers, and you meet a genie, and you ask the genie 3 wishes. Now, whatever those 3 wishes are, you think was a dream from your childhood that's not real. No, incorrect. The world is built on dreams. If you actually engage with thought, desire, and then action towards who you really are, who you feel you are, who you know you are, because nobody knows you better than yourself. Nobody can ever know you better than yourself. So it really is, when you work on who you really are without barriers and feel it, it begins to manifest. And I could suggest to everybody to Google the 50 gates of understanding, because that shows you, it's a great list of the 50 different states of consciousness required to unlock your Godhead, if you will. I don't know if that's helped or maybe more complicated.
What about alchemy and the Kabbalah? Can you tell us about alchemy and the Kabbalah?
Yes, again, alchemy is another allegorical projection. The stages are alchemist, wizard, and then magician. And all that means is it's the birth of your own Godhead after ascension, where you're reborn into a higher consciousness. So it's the different stages. Your alchemist would be your baby Godhead. Your wizard would be your teen or maturing. And then your wizard is your accomplished ascended master, if you will.
Where is all this information? Is it being hidden from us, or is it widely available? Where can our viewers find more information about this? Where would be a good place to start?
I feel like, I've got to advertise my own book. But I don't get any commission for the books that I did, but they are on Amazon as audio books. And I say audio because the sacred voice is very, very, very important, and they're only about $4, but you probably find them PDFs for free online anyway. But if you search for Secrets of the Eternal Book, it's a brilliant one to start with. And then Kabbalah for Beginners. They're both very good things that will take you on your own journey at your own pace, by your own rules. Which is the most important thing here, really. It's about self. And, some of the things, the ultimate truth, you say, is it hidden from you? It's released to you if you look. But the problem is the deception in the world, of course. Mm-hmm. I mean, already you say Kabbalah, people, Jewish mysticism. Everything's got a label, and everything's designed that way to put you off. Because ascension it really is the survival of the fittest. It doesn't mean you're going to die off and you're worthless. It doesn't mean that. You'll still be there. I mean, for example, the last wave of evolution happened when the first ape began to think like a human and then subsequently managed to speak. Now, that didn't mean that all the apes disappeared. It just means that they reached their point of evolution. And this is exactly what's happening now. So this is stage 5 of creation, which is spiritual human. So there still will be humans. But when you ascend, you unlock the secrets within your own DNA, literally, to anti-aging, eternal life, and the knowledge of the source of all disease. Because all disease is dis-ease of the conscious energies within. And in a very cruel paradox, the most spiritual and righteous people suffer the most because they have stronger energies. So if those energies are blocked through lack of knowledge or lack of higher wisdom and understanding, it will build up so badly in your consciousness, it will allegorically project itself as dis-ease. Now, I have to say that I haven't come across anybody that knows what I know at this stage, so it's a bit unique. I haven't even spoken with Ambassador beforehand, but I know he has perhaps certain rules about what he's allowed to release. But as I'm independent and achieved this all of my own backing, I don't feel like any need to not, to hold back. But
so Martin,
hurts too much. It can't cope. The consciousness can't cope with it, so it has to be step by step.
Mm-hmm.
So Martin, with the Kabbalah, do they have that red armband or red thread, and what's the significance of that?
Yes, I've seen about that, and red in relation to, I can't say why they do it, but just the knowledge that I have, then red symbolizes the first conscious explosion, the explosion of consciousness from within the void. There was a build-up of pressure in the void, which caused a conscious explosion, which allegorically projected itself as the Big Bang. And this caused the first sound wave, Om. Now, when it began to travel outwards, this expanding conscious circle, it's associated with the color red. And then when the Om stopped, and then began to consciously think of ideas and how to produce matter, it produced still life. And then the water, running water, is an allegory of consciousness. So once the consciousness could put water onto the stone, it formed moss. And then moss became vegetation, vegetation became animate, animate became speaking human, thinking and speaking human. And these are the 4 stages that are shown in the swastika, for example, the ancient Hindu symbols there. And you see so many things with 4 sections in them. And just look at the life cycle of the butterfly or the dragonfly. It's exactly the same. The chrysalis that the butterfly is trapped in represents all the layers of deceit, lies, abuse of the ego that surround us. And basically the point of evolution is to take the ego from the animal and say, thank you, animal, for everything you did for us about evolution. But now I'm the spirit, I'm taking back the ego for me. Thanks for everything you did. Like it or lump it. That's the way it goes. I hope that answered.
Let me ask you this. Is this through meditation, or how can people really get more information? How can they achieve this? When you say ascension, though, you're not talking about literally people are flying up in the air. You're just talking about, you're talking about ascending in consciousness. And
Yes.
People do this through meditation.
Yes, they do it through, it's only about who you are. So basically on a mathematic, quantum physics and mechanical level, it's really quite data and Spock, to be honest, with no emotions. But on a simple level, when you have a thought which comes from the ether, it sends a signal forward and carries the signal to your heart, where it picks up your resonance frequency, which is the level of desire attached to the thought. Then it moves to the brain for interpretation. Then it sends an immediate signal to the back of your brain, where it projects it outwards, so that everything you see and experience is actually the inside of your own psyche.
It's fascinating stuff. I think the
I
ambassador.
know that's far out stuff.
Where's the ambassador on this? Because I know he's probably gotten plenty of.
Speechless.
no, I don't want to disturb the experience of of what our brother Martin has been going through. We started this journey together. A long time ago, and I have listening to the text that he was doing, and I was very happy when he started to do the translations of this book, so that actually the secret knowledge of Kabbalah could come out, because the thing is, this way it has been hidden, and in many cases women are not allowed to study it, and in some cases you have to be over 40 to do it, and all these different type of regulations. But I did it in a very, very early age of my life. And so basically, I thought this is great, since it's an audio that he did this audio books there. So basically people actually can, drive and listen actually take it into heart and memorizing what is said. And basically, like I said so many times before, that Kabbalah, the teaching itself, is wonderful, is a huge treasure, and it has a lot of similarities with Sufism. And unfortunately, like in everything, you can have a Christian that are a Hitler, or you could be having a Jew that is a Hitler, or you can have a Hitler who is a Hitler. Or, you understand what I mean? I mean, but you have bad people in all faiths, and people that twist the faiths in the way they do. But what is important to realize is that this thing is the foundation to the knowledge that was kept for the normal worshippers, but the rabbis had this skill themselves, and the normal common man didn't, and basically that's why they're stuck up in this goldfish ball. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the way it's been. And you see, the thing is, such great powers, such unbelievable powers beyond your comprehension come with it. So it can be easily taken, because it's such a difficult process that you can easily think like, oh, that people never understand it. Oh, do you know what? I can't be bothered. I'm all right. I know how to sort out everything for myself now. And this is what happened, you see. So I think everyone began with good intentions, but as Kabbalah teaches you or shows you that the ego has just got so out of hand that the male positive spirit, and that doesn't, I don't mean like male as in male human, I mean the positive spirit. You've got the positive Holy Father, and then you've got the negative Mother Earth, but it doesn't mean that Mother Earth is negative. It's just with any balance, you have to have a plus and a minus.
Are you familiar with the Zephyr Yetzirah? Is that how you pronounce it? Yetzirah? It's an early book of the teachings. Is that there's many books of the teachings of Kabbalah, and I think is it something that you have to kind of study in order, in a sequential order, because of the historical context of it, or is it a progression of understanding?
No, it is. I can give you a little higher dimensional secret, I suppose. I can give you a little tip that you might not understand yet, but it's very, very real. If you literally put in Kabbalah in Google, the search results that you are attracted to and look at is the one for you. That sounds so simplistic and ridiculous, but in the end, the absolute truth is so simple, it's almost like a joke that nobody can believe you. So I personally have had to learn every single thing virtually known to man, basically a little bit of it, in order to find out that it's all a complete, it's pointless. You have to go backwards and take off every layer of knowledge by reverse engineering knowledge, basically, back to before the allegorical apple was bitten. And then all you're left with is love and your fellow man. There you go. That's what it's all about. You know, a localized action. Because then you'll also learn in the science of Kabbalah to do with the twin flame thing. People think that they've got a twin flame out there and another love and all that stuff. It refers to atoms, unfortunately. Sorry to break that for everyone. But the twin atoms are the localized atom and the microatom within and the macroatom without. So when you make localized atomic changes within, they literally occur outwards. I'll tell you now, after what you've heard tonight, tomorrow morning, all of you, look at your local news station's headlines and read the allegory, and you'll fall off your seat. It's talking about us and what we've.
I think we're losing our little.
So this is when it starts getting
stable connection. Our connection's a little bit unstable.
That's okay.
Get a little interruption there.
No problems. Sometimes I can go too high with what I talk about. It's my inability to keep my mouth shut. You know, when it comes to spreading the knowledge.
Well, what it does is this is really fascinating information, and how does the yin and yang work with that, with this energetic atomical structure?
Thank you. I'm glad you asked that, because that's a perfect thing I want to talk about. That forgotten. Basically, everything, the yin and yang represents your internal consciousness and balance. Now, the large yin, the large yang, one represents Holy Father, male, positive spirit, means positive energy. It doesn't mean negative. Anyway, and then the other one is the Mother Earth. And then the two little ones are little boy blue, you could call him. That's the little boy within you, the male spirit within you that had no barriers, who is the dream maker and who thinks of all the ideas. And then the little girl you is the creator and the explorer. So she's actually the one that gets the creation done. But then you use the knowledge of the father and the mother, but with no barriers like a child. Before you were told not to talk to strangers, not to do this, and don't do that because this will happen, and so on.
Are you talking about our ability to manifest? I mean, our consciousness and our ability to manifest. Is this where this is going with that?
Yes, what's happening, yeah, the basic apocalypse, what's happening is the apocalypse. If you look, even on Wikipedia, apocalypse comes from the Greek word apocalypsis, which means the revealing of ancient knowledge from within that was previously covered up. I mean, you can't get more of a giveaway than that, really. And that's what the awakenings are. It's the personal apocalypses, which are basically giving you the rules of who you are, where you came from, and what the purpose of everything is. And yes, you learn to manifest, because ultimately in the end you realize that your entire life experience is manifest. But you gradually learn how to, not manipulate, because that's not really the right word to use, but to use it as to be who you are, to help others. Because all of us here are all here for the same purpose. We all have a dream that we've said to ourselves over and over again. We want to save the world. We want to live with a heaven on earth, but we want everyone else to have it first. I mean, I might not be right for everyone, but I'm guessing that a lot of you have that.
Isn't this kind of the co-creator ability that you're talking about, with the creative, the playful, the inner child thing, and then the creative and manifesting and
yes, it's achieving all four in perfect balance within each other, and then everything becomes a whole, and then it's what's called spiritual ascent. Now, a lot of people are frightened because they think they might die, or something's going to happen, or they'll get beamed up, or this will happen. And it's very frightening. I mean, because for me, I literally had to be the allegorical Jesus Christ and suffer on the cross with no help, no knowledge, no assistance, only from my own mind. So it was very torturous for me. But I'm so glad I went through it so that I could, help other people, basically, and let them know, oh, yeah, you've reached this stage. But in the early days, it was very difficult for me because people weren't ready for it. They just call you a nutter. Oh, you're not God, you're not God. But it's not about who's God. It's about what the definition of God is. What is God? It's the energy, supreme, creative consciousness source, basically.
And we have that within each one of us, don't we, Martin?
Yes, absolutely. It's the 90% of your DNA. And when you look within, literally look within, it comes from within your DNA, literally.
That is so beautiful.
You are, because I can tell you this great big list of what to look at, but it might not be what your soul mission was. It might not be what you've asked for. So you need to absorb yourself in whatever you send a signal out, a frequency from your heart with desire as to what you want. And, none of us here is saying, I want $1 million. Yeah, it'd be nice, because, then we can start this group and that group. But we all know the value of what we really want. And the universe is just asking all of us to step up, I guess. It's like, okay, a lot of you have got the knowledge now. Step up, spread the sacred truth, because it's not a belief system. It's not try and vote for me, try and listen to what my interpretation is. It's about every individual returning to the one consciousness. And this is what these waves are, wave after wave. We have another one on the 11th of the 11th at 11:11.
I think also, Martin, which is important for people to understand, is like this rabbi told me, and when we had the discussions with a young boy coming up and asking for a Talmud, and if he could have a Talmud to read, and he said that, listen, we don't take you out in the middle of the sea and throw you down the water and tell you to swim without teaching you how to swim.
Yes.
So don't try to get yourself into it. And this is a little bit what I'm been stating many times. This knowledge that we're talking about here is, if you compare normal, casual Christianity, this is, Christianity driving a Golf, and basically you're now suddenly supposed to drive a Ferrari.
Yes.
And it's both cars can be fast, but you need to handle them differently because it's
Yes.
more horsepower in the others, and if you don't know how to deal with it, you can get into an accident. So it's
Yes.
important to be spiritually enlightened. It's a different form of looking at things. It's not the black and white that is taught in ordinary traditional religion. I think that sometimes ordinary traditional religion is there just for the common, not so spiritually awakened person to basically just have something to go
Yes.
and be having what we call a foundation. And then basically when you have received your, what you could say, like a red belt and supposed to be going up to the next belt, which is black belt, then you start studying Kabbalah. So Kabbalah is a deeper understanding of the creation of the religion. And
Yes, exactly. I mean, all people have to do is Google the Latin meaning of religion, and you'll be astounded. It means to hold back and prevent progress. And I mean, it's ridiculous when you look at the real meaning of apocalypse and religion. That's there, but everybody's lives have been so busy and so stressed and so trying to keep up in the rat race that people haven't had time. And it's only those people who kind of exit themselves away and go into their cave, which is why Abraham was in his cave. It's why Jesus was in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. It's all allegorical for the amount of time you need to spend alone. And it's only when you give up. I mean, you don't have to sell everything like the Bible says and live with absolutely nothing, but you certainly have to give up your attachment to corporeal benefits. You have to understand what it's like to have nothing. And it's just consciousness training, basically, along the spiritual ladder of experience. And if you want to know what the individual aspects or areas to complete the whole are, then they can be found under the 50 gates of understanding.
Oh, it is like one man said that, in Christianity, people focus on the man, so they forget the creator.
Yes.
And this is a very, I think, important thing to see that, in all form, you will hear this when it comes to Islamic people, is that you will hear that, Sufism is not good because Sufism existed before Islam. Okay, but now if you listen to the situation here, Islam existed before Christianity. Islam existed before Judaism. Islam was practiced by Abraham. And the same thing is, the word Allah. I mean, the word Allah is an Aramaic word which was used by Jews far before any of Arab Muslims were using this word. And I think this is important for people to realize that is that they need to research, they need to go deep inside, watch themselves in the mirror, but also really research their own scriptures, that they will find out that so much things was kept hidden for them, and they've been living in ignorance. And because of this ignorance, they become so judgmental, they become so angry, and they become so, and that's why we have so-called fundamentalists. And when you look at like fundamentalists, politicians, like in the United States, you make a stupid, ignorant comment about something, and basically you will have 80% of the public voting for him just because he said such a stupid thing. And that shows the frequency of the ordinary man makes people scared for democracy. And because basically if these people are voting, it was this program where they were interviewing people on the beach in California, and they were saying that Hillary Clinton is supporting Sharia, and basically this is one of the most important things. Do you think that we should have Sharia in America? And all these ladies said yes, this is a great thing.
Everybody's a Muslim. Everybody is a Muslim, because Muslim and Islam stem from the letters SLM, which mean one who offers his body as a vessel to God, which is everybody. So that's the crazy thing. Everybody is a Muslim, everybody is a Christian, everybody is a Hindu, Buddhist, everybody is all of them. They're just regionalized versions of allegory, of find out who you are and do unto others as you would wish done to yourself. So the rules are basic, but we've had so much knowledge that it's created such a crazy, complex world, and a lot of people don't even know where to begin. But start with yourself and just research. You don't need to be an expert in anything. You just have to have a gist or a basic understanding of what it means. And then that'll help everybody, won't it?
No, so I think that this is a very, very important thing that we're doing.
Yes.
You know, and when we started this journey here now, as I was planning to do, is to invite people that have a spiritual message founded in the main religious systems. And what you will see that coming back, that how much of it is so equal, how much of this has the common value basis, because in reality, we all from the same creator, we all share the same values.
Yes.
It's just that some people in some forms of religion put efforts into some things more than others. Okay. And I think that it's that the man is the focus, not the creator. And because of that, we create rules that Satan wants to have to divide us, to conquer us. And basically, as you know, shaitan or Satan means in Hebrew obstacle. And basically, they want to put an obstacle between man and the creator, or man or man.
Absolutely.
And that's why we have religions today.
And that's why we have shaitan. See, the real meaning of shaitan is very, very misunderstood. It's there as the final barrier. It's the perceived conscious devil, or like you said, object. It stops. It's there as the last kind of barrier to make sure that you fully understand what it is, so you can progress out of it. So you go into the abyss and out again, fully cleansed, as it were.
Yeah, because this is what people doesn't realize. They like to have someone to blame. So
Yes.
basically, let's blame Satan for everything. Yeah. But in reality, we are the root of good and evil, because we are the decision maker if we want to do good or if we want to do evil. Exactly. And I think that this is a very, very, very important thing, okay, to put the focus on, okay. And the focus in this is that we need, okay, to awaken, okay, to our own selves.
Yes.
Yes, sir? And most people, they don't even know who themselves are, and that's why I've been stressing during this journey on self-reflection.
Absolutely, because you really, it's going to be very difficult for people to understand they are a piece of the creator consciousness itself, but everybody feels pain the same. If I hit you on the hand with a hammer and I hit me on the hand with a hammer with the same force, we feel the same pain. The birth of your first child brings you the same joy and tears that it brought me, and it brings anybody and everybody else. That's the crazy thing. We're all the same person. The ultimate reality is we're all the same person, but one thing at one step at a time.
And that's why also it's important. It's like, for example, that's why sometimes instead of saying Kabbalah, I used to say the cartoon characters, because the reason for that was that very simple, because people like to label people things. So you want to label the Kabbalah or Kabbalists as the Kabbalah, or you want to label the Christians as fundamentalists,
yes.
Or you want to label Muslims as terrorists,
yes.
Or you want to label Jews as tyrannical people, and Buddhists as as hippies, basically. So you have this type of labeling on people instead of understanding the inner truths of what they're doing. Okay, and in reality, unfortunately, all these faiths has been hijacked by ignorant people who is using these faiths basically for their own interest, for their own iniquities, because they feel that they need to use this faith in some shape or form to control themselves or others. And it's like we see here now in the news. This commercial airplane that went down over Sinai, and you had these ISIS people claiming that they were doing it, and now things comes forward that it seems that, yes, it was an attack, it was an explosion that was behind it. But the same thing here is that if we look at the essence, who is the people that did this? Who runs these people? You see, always you hear on the news, you know, Hamas, 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 Hamas. But who created Hamas? The Mossad. Why?
We did, but you know.
Yeah, they created it as an important thing to go against PLO at that time. Okay, now you have Al Qaeda, which never really existed, and then you come now this ISIS, whoever they are, and all the time you have a little boogeyman here, a little demon. We should call them demons instead, because what they are.
Sorry, if people want the real truth, then the biggest holder of people's consciousness on this planet is doubt, worry, fear, anger, hate, violence, war. Now, the absolute reality is that none of them really exist. This is why our mainstream newspapers, why everything exists, worry, 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 scare, scare, scare. I'll tell you now, when your consciousness is completely clear, nothing can be manifest as a danger because there is no fear in your consciousness, so it can't manifest. And this is where you get into quantum physics and quantum mechanics, where you're talking about parallel universes and quantum leaping split seconds at a time permanently with every decision. But that's later. But so me, because I grew up as a coward, when I found out this realization, immediately I was too afraid to be scared of anything. So I used the paradox against myself and to relieve me of any fear. So I now carry as a Kabbalist the outer light. So wherever I go, I carry a particular frequency. Now the Jesus Christ frequency, or the second coming of Jesus Christ, is actually a heart resonance frequency of 21 hertz. And that's what Agenda 21 is all about. It's about how they will handle the rising of this specific resonance within people. On a simple terms, the heart is starting to take over their head, that's all. But it's very warming to see, and it's rising. And it's the creation auto-correcting the planet. And nothing can be done to stop it. It's impossible. So when you look at CERN spending billions of dollars trying to find an allegorical representation of the inside of their own consciousness, they're not going to get very far. So good luck to them with that one. But, you know, we shall see.
What is behind this rise in consciousness, Martin? What do you think is it just prophetic? Is it?
Yes, Bala explains it. Generally, you've got to start, you go back to when there was a void, basically. It's the journey that the void and then the first explosion of conscious creation began, and the journey it took to be able to manifest material matter, which is earth. And basically this took on over millions of years of evolution. So everything that's happened in evolution, all those millions of years, is stored in your junk DNA. And what's happening is we're returning to this one consciousness, so that this crazy projected world that we live on is the opposite of the spiritual world. So anything done spiritually has an opposite effect materially. And the point of all the scriptures is to return heaven to earth, which means instead of everything being the opposite, when you think of a dream, a desire, something based on your heart and to help other people, to help yourself, then there will be no barriers anymore. So evolution is about pole switching, really. Even that's metaphor. The pole switch is to make everything opposite and, you know, work backwards. This is where the film's Back to the Future. The director or the writer is a known Kabbalist. It means reverse engineering knowledge, basically.
But isn't this also based on cycles of Brahma?
It sounds like it. I don't even know what that is, but just means probably
the cycles. Well, it's the in breath and the out breath of the universe. So it's kind of like it's the Big Bang. So you have that out breath, and then the cycle changes to where there's this in breath where it kind of starts to retract and come back.
That's karma in effect. That's karma. You send out a resonant frequency of a desire, and then whatever you send out comes back to you. So if you shout at somebody, you'll get a fish slap of the same frequency, but maybe allegorically dressed up as a different situation.
So can you feel that?
Back.
Can you feel if you send love to somebody, will you receive love in return? Is that how that happens?
Yeah, basically, you have to be the most difficult one for me was coping with a lot of arguing in partnerships. And the thing that nearly broke me was the realization that it was a reflection of the part of me that I was suppressing. And I had to work with that for weeks because I can't believe when someone attacks you that it's your fault. But it is. And that is probably the most difficult thing of all of it. Is coming to terms with that as a reality. It's like, what?
Well, I mean, but that excuses the demons that kind of infiltrate people, though. It kind of says, well, you're responsible for everything, and the demons, I don't know. I mean, some people may have a little trouble with some of these ideas. Just letting you know, because
I agree with you, but that's the point where you say, okay, this particular frequency coming to me, I can't work with it. I don't have the energy to deal with that part of me yet. Right, so you get out of that situation and you get a better environment of a bit more love around you, which then encourages you to unlock the last bits of yourself. So environment is important, and you don't have to put up with everyone who's having a go at you.
You just said something about more love around you. Tell me about how does love work into all of this? What is it not the most powerful force that exists?
Yeah, love is the actual creative force of the entire universe underneath all the fear and hatred and all the layers of deception. When you throw all of them off, you're only left with love.
Is that what the Agenda 21 is trying to do? They're trying to really keep us all from feeling and expressing love, ultimately?
Yes, because fear, hate, anything, love, unconditional love begins, which is called the Jesus Christ frequency, which is the second coming actually of Jesus Christ. It's the returning frequency within. Unconditional love starts at 21 hertz, which is 5D. Now, anything below that, anything negative, worry about this, this is going to happen, it's all of a frequency below 21. It's usually down near 8, 7.83 is the worst. You scream and shout and bawl. So it's a big game of snakes and ladders.
How can we tune our frequency higher? How can we keep the love frequency? What is that resonating at, love?
21 hertz.
21. Is it above 21 or is it 21?
Well, yeah, it depends on you, your person. I mean, me, I'm in the late 60s now. It's something balmy, but the actual, if the Jesus Christ consciousness is 21 hertz, then the actual creator consciousness, birth of the creator, begins at 44 hertz. So with all the waves and the upgrades, we're all being upgraded. And you need to tune in. You need to mix and balance your life. Go outside a little bit, spend a bit of time in nature, try and get some rest, try and work with your own problems, and try and interact. Because the hardest thing for all of us is that we've all been perhaps isolated more and more and within ourselves and not got used to, certainly a lot of people are not doing what you're doing and openly talking. And you really need to make the local action. If you want love thy neighbor to be more prevalent in your life, you've got to go knock on the door of your neighbor and talk to them. That's where it gets really simple to have big, profound effects.
Well, it's a very large perspective that you're talking about. I mean, you have to get to the point where nothing, it's almost kind of very Buddhist in a sense, some of these principles as well. And it just seems, how can we keep ourselves in the love frequency? That's a high frequency. How can we stay, what do we need to do to keep ourselves?
I mean, again, it sounds so simple, a child could say, and it's so crazy in this world of deceit, but you just need to be you, right? And this sounds so stupid. Do the things that make you happy. The things that get you in the zone. This is what it's all about. When you're in the zone, whatever your zone is, that is the creator consciousness. So you try and get in that as much as you can. And you try and, but you will be presented with situations. You can't hide from everything. Yeah. And it's all about learning from each situation because... another thing, David Icke, I'll explain that. The allegory of problem, reaction, solution is sacred geometry and a sacred knowledge. With anything at all, you think of it, unexplored consciousness. You're drawing a sphere of consciousness in that's been unexplored before. So it's dark. So it's darkness. So it brings you down. And then you work out why you're feeling down. And that metaphorically shines light within this new sphere. So it can carry you up to the next dimension. So the spiritual climb will always bring downers followed by an upper. Because every downer is just darkness where light needs to be shined.
So you're saying that the Kabbalah, studying the Kabbalah, can help us increase our consciousness?
Absolutely, because it helps you. It's the only thing I've read at all that helps you find all the things that you're looking for, you personally, the reader, not the author or the writer. And then that's, you don't normally get the written word that is just for you. It's always somebody's point of view. And the same with religion. When you give your energies, anyone, to an external source, you're on the path to disease because you are the source. And to me, the Muslim religion, Islam, pains me the most because they are the most adherent to spirituality and yet the most controlled. And you see them all dancing in a circle around the allegorically projected black cube of Saturn, and it makes me feel sick. The size of the deception of such righteous people who are portrayed as terrorists, maniacs, bombers. It's just obscene.
So what you're saying, Martin, is that any dogma is not really necessary. That we have to follow our own internal consciousness, and that if we listen to it, the right thing is already there.
Absolutely, 100% spot on. Yes, wonderful. You hit the nail on the head there.
Right, because this is then this dogma is meant just to kind of divide us and to keep us from experiencing that internal love frequency.
Yeah, and also to learn. It's for the sake of evolution too. It's pretty tough. It's like when you join a spiritual ladder, it's the equivalent of going to spiritual boot camp, where you'll be tortured, prodded, amazing revelations, overwhelming happiness, sadness. It's the whole shebang, but it's soul purging.
Well, what about the reincarnation cycle? I mean, when you look at using Kabbalah, how do we view reincarnation?
Reincarnation, if you don't work out what's happening and you don't accept who you are, you will age and then you will die and then you will be reincarnated at another time, another place, and repeat loop forever. So I can't say whether you're born carrying the knowledge of your previous soul, because I personally have had no recollection. It hasn't worked like that for me, but I've been able to identify where every person is in relation to the ascension path. So I mean, I guess that obviously that's why I was pre-awakened.
Are you saying that in order to keep in order to attain immortality, you have to reach this love frequency, that you have to maintain that? Is this what you're saying, that this Christ consciousness, or this internal peace within yourself and this love, are you saying that this is the way to immortality and to
yes, it's the beginning of, yes, because when you ascend again, you see, as you ascend upwards, all this info comes out of your own DNA. So my job is to try and put people in the right direction so they can find themselves, because I don't need to prove anything, because when you do it, you'll see it for yourself. You'll be flabbergasted. You'll see things change.
So you're saying even on a cellular level, though, that when you reach this consciousness, when you're in this high frequency love vibration, that you can literally change the cells in your body? Is this what you're saying? That you can heal? Is this about healing yourself? This is how you do it. Yes.
Now, this is, again, I'm going to sound like a child, but you won't believe this. The reason why you age is because every year you think you get a year older, and it's confirmed by everybody around you. It is literally that simple, that is why you age. It's crazy. It sounds like a crazy man to many, many people. But if you can learn and this is where the alchemy and the wizard comes in. Because all that means, it's not black magic, and it's not doing sigils and chanting and all that kind of stuff. It's just talking to yourself in your brain and planning conscious possibilities of things. That's all.
So, Martin, what you're saying is we need to kind of all be 5 years old. We need to all go back to kindergarten.
Yes.
We need to
Yeah.
all go back to kindergarten. We need to forget about all the indoctrination and all
Yeah.
the programming
Yeah.
that we've had through our
Yeah.
adult life. We all need to go back to kindergarten, set up our playhouses and play.
Yes, but with the knowledge of the adult male and female. So,
Yes.
you know,
Right.
and then there really are no barriers. So the whole point of heaven on earth is to read those dreams that you had when you were little. They're real. It's just that your whole life's been built up to tell you that they weren't. And you're like, oh, yeah, but this and yeah, but that. It's like, no. So you have to have faith. You have to have faith. And the faith is shown back to you. It's not something where you have faith for 25 years waiting for something. It's shown back to you on your terms, on your decoding abilities. And you'll find clues to ascension in everything that you love. Your favorite songs, your old memories, anything that had a piece of your heart, basically, has been recorded like a photograph in your DNA going, okay, you like that, right, you like that. And so then it builds up this kind of information of who you are and what you are, depending on what your heart resonance was with each experience. So the judge is you. So you have to be whatever you said you wanted to be. There's no point in saying, I want to do this, I want to do all these things, and then don't do any of them, because it can't compute. That's not what you asked for.
Don't you feel like, you know, then you kind of don't fit into society if you're kind of like marching to the beat of your own drum and you're not really conforming?
Well, to start with, so you have to you become more and more mental, basically, to other people until you reach the ascension point, and then you descend. Now, the ascension break is what's known as the 7th dimension, and then as you ascend up, you go through 8 and 9, and then hit 10, and then 10's the beginning of the descent, and then 11, 12, and then you come back down to earth, and you see everything in a different way, in a much more beautiful way, with a much higher understanding of how everything works and how to get what you want. And that's not how to get rich. You could do it if you wanted to, but you probably won't get far with it because it's an illusion.
So how does this fit into the 12-strand DNA structure? And then the 13th strand, the meta strand, how does all this fit in with Kabbalah and consciousness and ascension? How is that fit in there?
Yeah, I haven't done enough DNA research to do that yet, to be able to give you an answer that you would deserve, really.
Well, because
the
this is what you're saying.
Strand means 13th dimension, and supposedly 13th royal bloodlines. Again, that's more allegory for 13th dimension.
Oh my goodness.
That's all right. That's you, by the way. That's you. Little you.
Yeah, this was sorry about that.
All right.
Yeah, this is fascinating, and you know what Simon Parks has actually said very much the same thing. Are you familiar with Simon? Yeah, you're really kind of.
So, I like his. He termed it. Did you not? Homo telepathicus. I think he said that's where we were heading. I like that. He said he made it up himself, and I think, good on him. Bless you.
I'm sure
you have the right to make up whatever you want. And
I'm sure those mantids he was raised with had nothing to do with that. Okay. Yeah, sure. We're trying to get Simon to come on the GoldFish Report. We've had Randy Kramer on. We've had Rob Potter. We're going to be doing an interview with Cobra pretty soon. So we're kind of excited about having some alternative points of view. Our listeners won't always agree with everything that we present, but this is a series called Spiritual Revolution series that we're presenting, and we are trying to present different views of spirituality, but with and in doing that, we're presenting people from different religions who have something to teach us if we are open to the messages that they have to give. And you're one of them, and we're very happy that you can come and you can share this knowledge of the Kabbalah, and I'm sure that we certainly hope that you would come back again.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd just like to leave you with one thing and say that everything will come to you in its own time. There's nothing to fear. Things are going to get crazy in the news, but they're not real. And I know that's difficult for many people to say, what do you mean it's not real? So that's why you can't really tell people. A lot of people say, oh, just tell me the truth, tell me the truth. And it's like from the film, the truth. You can't handle the truth. And that's really how it is, but it's not in a bad way. It's just, everyone's on their own soul path. So basically, there are two truths. There is your personal reality of whatever you believe and are into is true, is correct, but it is based on a consciousness that has a rule of its own. So the sacred knowledge of creation is the one rule of consciousness. It's not a belief system.
So you're talking about the law of attraction, things of that nature. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
all connected to the same thing. Yes,
All
yes.
connected to the same things.
Attraction, the law of attraction is literally sending out a frequency, thought, intent, action on a frequency, and then it comes back to you. Everything comes back to you that you want, unbelievably. I know, and that's when you experience heaven on earth.
So what you're saying is that it matters what you think.
Oh, absolutely.
Your thoughts. So
what you think as well.
So your thoughts are creating your reality. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes, as long as you have millions of thoughts, and it's only when they get attached to a particular resonance of desire and then put into action that they manifest. So it's not like if you think something bad, you might kill someone, oh God, when you get big powers, but you don't have to be afraid of anything. We have an intelligent setup that knows kind of when you mean it and when you don't.
So that's kind of like the formula for manifestation. So you have this intent, you put this desire behind it, and then it requires some kind of action. So what is the action that you're talking about?
The action is just literally doing the things that you really want to do. But it's hard because you've got to leave a system. You've got to let go of corporeal assets and things, and that is always going to be the toughest thing. I think for anyone to let go, they're always going to say, but what about, how do I pay the rent? And I can't answer that question for you, unfortunately. I wish I could. But, a lot
maybe it's just letting go of the attachment to it, because we all need a home to live in. But letting go of the attachment, like this is like that it's part of your identity. Letting go of it as being part of your identity. Is that what you mean?
Yes, I like that better, because that, of course, Kabbalah explains that you can go about and do your job, but as long as you're aware of what it is, I suppose. If you're every day going, oh, I hate this job, I don't want to do it, it's only to pay the rent, then you really do need to leave it and have faith. But I would suggest if people just check out Kabbalah, it resonates or it doesn't. Kabbalah teaches that even in their teachings, if there's a part of it that doesn't resonate with you, forget it. It says, don't bother, just move on to the next bit. Because you're only meant to read what you resonate with. Because we're all different. We all have a different aspect and point of view on creation. And we always will have. So we have to find the unity. Now, what is the unity between science and religion or spirituality? It's love or consciousness. And then conscious love, there you go. There's your one world order. It's not, it's not bad. This is what the oneness is all about. It's not.
Martin, we have to have you back on, and we need to have our viewers submit some questions so that we could really kind of go into a greater understanding of this.
Yeah,
I'm going to include links in the description section of our video today. If you can provide those, I think you already gave us 2 names of books, audio books that our viewers can look into. And this is just fast. I could sit here and talk to you forever, because this is an area that really fascinates me. Sorry?
I said, thanks for putting up with me, because normally I can't stop talking and it does everybody's head in because it's too much.
Well, if people have some basic knowledge of this, then it's easy, I think, to kind of jump on and, hit the ground running. So
yes.
But if you're starting with nothing, then you kind of have to take baby steps. And if you're in this indoctrination of some other kind of religion, then it's going to be harder to kind of get out from behind those walls and those boundaries and kind of come into a little more free-flowing, idea. We're kind of just taking the real height of the religion, each of the religions, any of the religions, and kind of looking at what they all share in common. And it's kind of like, the commonness of
yes, that's very important, because the point for your viewer and of course yourselves is to see the connections yourself. So it's not about, a Christian's coming out, they're wrong, they don't understand about blah, 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 blah. Oh, they're wrong. It's not about that, because everyone's got their own reality that they're entitled to. Mm-hmm. It's about the discerning viewer making the connection that they need to enhance their own inner development. That's what it's all about.
That's the best thing that you could say, because this is what we want to establish. And I think that it's very important in this religious discovery movement that we're doing here is to, after we've been doing this, to bring everyone together, to have a discussion with all of us together to understand these things, because I think it's very important for us to take our faith, our mind, our spirit to the new level. And that's what we want to do. And that's the part of the war on ignorance. And I'm happy to have you on, Martin, as a guest here to explaining for the people about Kabbalah, and so that they now know what they're talking about more than just, using the word Kabbal. So now they know a little bit what the Kabbal people maybe listen to. And I don't think that this is the problem. Also, I don't think that many of these people that are labeled as the Kabbal is actually real practices of Kabbal. I think that they might be using that as a way to cover up that in reality they are Satanists or atheists. Okay. So anyway, thank you very much for being on, and we will have you on again very soon.
Thank you.
And like she said, Louisa, please send in questions to Martin that Martin can answer for the next time you return. And it's always wonderful to talk to you, Martin. And
yeah, you too.
See you back soon.
Thank you very
God
much.
bless you and your family. And and thank you all for listening to today's GoldFish report.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador, for bringing on such a wonderful, another wonderful perspective on our Spiritual Revolution series that we are presenting on the GoldFish Report. We are also going to post links and whatever information that Martin has for us to share with our viewers. It'll be posted in the description section of this YouTube video. We want to also encourage our listeners to follow us on Facebook, where we will post upcoming guests and also current news that we discuss on the GoldFish Report. And also please visit us at globalmissionofpeace.com. Please join us for our symposiums on Wednesdays, which is what we're leaving to go do right now. We're late for our symposium today. You can go to cbcglobaleducation.com and register to join our symposiums. You can also go to the cbcglobaleducation.com to register for workshops, business plan workshops, and also to present your project to the ambassador, your humanitarian project. So we want to thank all of our viewers for joining us today. And this concludes this edition and of course, we want to thank Martin very much for your time and your generosity in explaining all about what you have studied and worked a very long time.
Welcome. I am writing a book. I am actually a book being published in the early part of next year, called What is Love series, The Second Coming. So I explore love scientifically, philosophically, quantum mechanically, everything lit. Basically.
That's wonderful. That's my kind of book, because that's really the strongest force in the universe. And if we all can embrace it and keep it in our hearts, we'll have a better world. And I think we could all bring in this golden age of humanity. So with that, thank you again, Martin, and thank you to all of our viewers. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.
Thanks.